Welcome to this explainer. Okay, I want you to start by picturing something for a second. Imagine you've got a crisp, absolutely untouched $10 bill sitting safely tucked away in your wallet right now. It doesn't get torn, it doesn't get lost, nobody even touches it. And yet somehow, when you pull that exact same bill out a year from now, it is mathematically guaranteed to buy you less stuff than it can today. So we really have to ask, where did that missing value actually vanish to? It's this silent thief we constantly hear about in the news, right? Well, stick with me, because by the end of our time together, the mechanics behind this whole invisible force are going to make total sense.
Section 1. What exactly is inflation?
All right, so at its core, inflation is just the general price level rising over time. It basically means your money buys a little bit less. Let's look at an everyday example. Say your absolute favorite turkey sandwich costs $10 today. You go back to that same deli next year, and suddenly that exact same sandwich costs $11. The ingredients didn't change at all, the turkey isn't any fancier, the bread isn't bigger, the item itself is literally identical, but your money's buying power? That changed. It just took more of your money to acquire the exact same thing.
Now, the absolutely crucial distinction we need to make here is that inflation is not just one single item getting pricier because it suddenly got super trendy or, consumer tastes changed. Like if a specific brand of sneakers doubles in price because some huge celebrity wore them, well, that is really just supply and demand for one specific item. True inflation is a broad, across-the-board trend that affects almost everything you buy.
Section 2. How we measure it. So you'll often hear economists talk about the Consumer Price Index, or the CPI. Let's break this down into the plainest terms possible. I want you to imagine a giant, fixed shopping basket. Inside this basket are the normal, everyday things a typical household pays for every single month. We're talking a standard list of groceries, your monthly rent, a couple tanks of gas, maybe a haircut, and your morning cup of coffee. What economists do is they take this specific basket of goods and check its total price tag month after month, year after year. And the math here is actually wonderfully simple. Let's say they set the baseline price of that giant shopping basket at an index number of exactly 100. If they check that same basket a year later and the index number is now 110, well, it just means the prices in that basket rose by about 10%. And that's it. That's how we track the inflation rate without having to literally memorize the price of every single item in the universe.
But wait, here is the really counterintuitive part. If rising prices drain your wallet, and everything getting more expensive sounds undeniably bad for us consumers, why do central banks actually want a little bit of inflation every single year? Like, why wouldn't they just want prices to stay perfectly flat forever? Keep this little mystery in the back of your mind because I am going to reveal the surprising answer in just a few minutes.
Section 3. What causes inflation?
Okay, so there are three main culprits behind these rising prices. First off, demand goes up way faster than supply, meaning you have way too many buyers chasing way too few goods. Second, the actual supply of money grows, meaning more money is literally being printed and pushed right out into the economy. And third, the currency itself loses value on the global stage, which basically makes anything we import from other countries suddenly a whole lot more expensive to buy.
Let's make that first point feel a bit more real. Think about concert tickets for, say, a massive global pop star. There are only 50,000 seats in the stadium, right? But there are 5 million fans desperately trying to buy a ticket. What happens? Yep, the price skyrockets. That is demand completely outpacing supply. Now, I want you to just imagine that level of frenzy happening on a massive scale for our everyday goods, materials, and services. That right there is what drives prices up across an entire economy.
Section 4. The danger of hyperinflation. To really grasp what happens when these forces completely run out of control, we can look back at Germany in the 1920s. Following the First World War, their economy just spiraled. Prices didn't just rise year over year. The value of money was quite literally dropping by the hour. A cup of coffee would cost more by the time you finished drinking it than when you actually ordered it. Citizens literally had to carry huge stacks of cash in wheelbarrows just to buy daily necessities like a loaf of bread. It's a pretty vivid, dramatic reminder that runaway inflation can entirely destroy an economy.
Section 5. Why some inflation is good. All right, so bringing it back to that mystery from earlier, why do economists actually prefer some inflation? Well, it all comes down to human behavior. Look at this comparison for a second. Imagine if prices never went up, or hey, even went down. You would probably just hoard all your cash under a mattress, right? Because you'd know your money would be worth exactly the same or even more tomorrow. But if you know that a car or a house or a business investment is going to cost just a tiny bit more next year, you are heavily encouraged to actually spend and invest that money into the economy today.
So the absolutely crucial point here is that a low, steady rise in prices, usually hovering right around 2% a year, really encourages healthy spending rather than total stagnation. Plus, it gives central banks the flexibility and the room they need to adjust interest rates, which drastically lowers the risk of a severe recession hitting us. Economists pretty much all agree on this. A little bit of inflation is actually the sign of a healthy, growing economy. It's only when there's too much that we hit the danger zone.
Section 6. What it means for you.
Now, let's bring all this macroeconomic stuff straight back to your wallet. If your money is just sitting completely idle in an account with zero return, it isn't just, taking a break. It is quietly shrinking in terms of real-world buying power. Remember that $10 bill we talked about at the very beginning? The paper itself is absolutely still there, but the actual power of it, that's evaporated.
And, here's the other side of that coin. If your paycheck stays perfectly stagnant year after year, but the cost of your groceries, your rents, and your gas keeps creeping up, you can afford less and less. You are effectively taking a pay cut without your salary ever actually changing. This dynamic is exactly why people care so deeply about understanding where they keep their savings and how they approach their overall career growth.
As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with 3 crisp, memorable takeaways. First, remember that inflation isn't just about things being expensive out of nowhere. It is fundamentally about your money slowly losing its buying power. Second, a little bit of inflation is completely normal and healthy for economic growth, but a lot of it is super dangerous. And third, it is a silent economic force that quietly affects your savings, your pay, and your daily costs, even when you aren't paying attention. Which finally brings us to our last thought. Right now, literally, while you are sitting here watching this explainer, what is your idle money quietly losing? It's a fascinating and, maybe slightly uncomfortable question to think about, but understanding it really is the very first step toward making smarter, more informed choices for your future. Thank you so much for joining me to figure all this out today, and keep asking those great questions.